You remember I said to you I had an unusually large brain?
Yes.
I'd like you to have it. As a token of thanks, don't gather dust around this place, and I feel you'll give it a good home.
Welcome to episode 26 of the Jonathan Creek podcast, where one of us has an unusually large organ that we are happy to donate to a good home.
Well, it'll be good to see it getting used for a change.
Yep. Church choir, perhaps. That's where they might need an organ.
Absolutely.
How are you?
I'm not too bad, Gerry. How are you this week?
I'm okay. Don't call me Gerry, call me Gergon.
Okay.
Yeah, Gorgons Wood we have this week.
Yes, and in Carla's farewell, I suppose.
It is, yes. I think we can chat about that towards the end. I'm not sure if you got a significant or a worthy send-off.
Well, she got those dolls made of her and stuff like that.
Yeah.
We'll come to all that.
We will. Anything you want to say before we begin?
I don't think so. Let's get going.
Would you have a summary for us?
I would.
Crack on.
In Gorgons Wood, Jonathan and Carla face two puzzles. Firstly, an ancient statue belonging to celebrity chef Owen Glendower has gone missing. And secondly, so is his niece. Jonathan must determine the relationship between the two vanishing acts. But when the search leads him and Carla to cross paths with a violent pimp, can they see things through? Or will they put their personal safety before unravelling the mystery?
Thank you. Bamber Gascoigne is who we begin with. Never thought to say that.
It's very rare.
He is narrating over a reconstruction of some mystical Japanese mumbo-jumbo.
Divine transcendency.
Yeah. He eventually gets back to the present day and is joined on camera by an expert in Japanese relics. What's his name?
He was joined by Owen Glendower, wasn't he?
He was, yeah. They're discussing a statue of a Shinto monk that is about to be displayed in a small museum for a short time.
Yes, apparently it's seen by many as a sign of peace and transcendental wonders, and by others as a sinister figure. A bit like yourself, really.
They have been recording in Owen's house, and when they stop, it appears that he is also a successful cookery author.
Yes, I think Bamber describes him as the nation's foremost gastronomic guru.
Who would that be in real life? Jamie Oliver.
Heston Blumenthal.
Okay. Owen locks the statue in his safe and assures Bamber that security will be airtight when the relic is transported from there to this local museum.
Yes, he says it's going to the local museum for 1 month only, on public display, and the chances of anyone spiriting the statue away are 0.
As soon as you say that,
You're asking for trouble.
you deserve trouble.
Exactly.
We quickly jump over to a terraced house. Now, this looked like the same house, I think it was in Jack in the Box.
Yes, episode 2, that's
Yeah.
the one that sprung to mind for me.
Certainly looked like the same type of house. Whether it was the same one, I'm not sure.
No, it's one of England's other terraced houses, perhaps. The other one.
Adam's with Jonathan.
Yeah, Adam's basically narrating a story at this stage. Someone has been watching him on television while he performs an act of hypnosis and has been left in a trance.
Yeah, it's a catatonic elderly woman. She's with her husband and her lawyer, as Adam laughs at this obvious scam.
Yes, but the humour appears to be lost on the lawyer, who is taking this very seriously indeed.
Yes, I think Adam tries to appease them with the offer of, free tickets and guest spot in the audience.
Yeah, and then he tries to play along and wake her from the trance.
Yeah, she doesn't budge, even after a now annoyed Adam tries to bring her back around by clicking his fingers and doing the reverse hypnosis that we see on TV. And they leave with Jonathan agreeing that she is convincing, but certainly a fake.
Absolutely. Adam remembers at this stage that he has agreed to drop Jonathan at Soho Square.
Yeah, but before they get to that, can you remember what Adam found when he glanced through the legal documents served on him?
No.
The old husband was looking for compensation due to a loss of marital relations.
Ah, right, okay.
I think he should be paying Adam.
Oh, that's harsh. Some would say fair.
Yeah, why is he dropping Jonathan off at a Soho or in Soho?
Because Jonathan's been invited to the launch of Mrs. Baxter's new fitness video.
Yeah, all the rage. Celebrities seem to do that as soon as you've got a bit of a profile.
We should clarify it's not the woman who makes the soup.
No.
It's Carla.
That'd be good, the woman who makes the pea and ham.
Yes, Carla's got this new fitness video. Yes, as you say, celebrity. I think even more so now than then, but it seems to be a trend.
You think more so now? I thought the trend probably peaked back then.
I don't know, I still think you see a lot of them.
Don't know, your Davina, Jade Goody had one, I think.
Yeah, there's loads of them.
Who else? We mentioned it before. She was in Jonathan Creek. Charlie Brooks, thingy from EastEnders.
Yes,
She's the most successful
I don't think it's
one.
ever stopped, it's just that we've lost touch with who the celebrities are now.
I never had touch with those videos, unlike some of the...
You were told not to touch the celebrities.
Anyway, at this point, Jonathan goes on to warn Adam about an Animal Farm-based reality show that Carla may try to rope him into. However, what does he soon realise?
Well, I think Adam's quite keen on this idea. He likes the idea of coming across on television as a real person and garnering the sympathy vote from the audience.
Yeah, I think it's even more than that. I mean, I think he realises Adam has already been approached and has
agreed to do it, yes.
Yes. We're now at the Harbington Museum.
Yes, the manageress/curator, Thelma Bailey, is looking around the sort of setup that they've got going for the Japanese exhibition, which is a bit threadbare.
There's not much else to it.
No, it's like a church hall with a little tent in the middle.
Yeah, she welcomes the security guards into the building after admiring this specially constructed bamboo display hut.
Like I say, it's like a tent. We get a bit of a flashback here, I think, where we see the statue being removed from the safe and passed to the security team.
And also, I think her daughter Gillian, Gilly she calls her, is introduced. She'll be helping to collect the statue from Owen Glynn.
Yeah, she's been personally involved in the transfer.
And as you say, yeah, we have it's not a flashback.
It is a flashback because immediately after the statue arrives at the museum. Unless we're saying this is simultaneous, but I think it makes more sense as a flashback.
Okay, I thought perhaps the guards were doing a little recce, picking up Gillian, driving her there in the van.
It was a bit of a montage, do you think? I just thought it was a bit of a flashback to how she got it, and that was them there. It doesn't think it really matters. It ends up that the statue is arriving at the museum.
Yeah, it's in a wooden box, which is then in turn locked in a metal case and handcuffed to a guard. So we can assume that there's no jiggery-pokery in transit.
Yeah, they've made the mistake of not including dry ice. Because when they open it up, it's just a statue in a box. Thelma kind of cradles it a little bit. She seems to be impressed and says you can feel the power.
Yeah, I'm not that impressed, or I wasn't that impressed
It
with
looks like a gnome.
Yeah, it does look like the type of thing you can pick up at Dobies.
Yeah, you sit it outside in your garden.
In any case, she places it on a plinth in this bamboo hut.
Yeah, she names it Nigamitama,
Does she? Okay.
the divine force of the Shinto kami.
I'll take your word for that. She then requests a quiet moment of meditation alone with it, and they agree. She sits cross-legged after drawing down this little curtain behind her, and she closes her eyes.
Yeah, I think we get a bit of a time lapse here because the next thing we know is Thelma's screaming.
Yeah, before she does scream, however, I think it's established that there's guards.
Right the way around you.
Yes.
A very basic arrangement of one on each side of the square.
I mean, I think if you're going to that extreme extent of guarding it,
Why would you let it out your sight?
yeah, and why would it be in this little pokey bamboo hut in a pokey
Why is
little
there a
museum?
door on the hut?
Yeah.
Although I suppose she's saying people will want to meditate with it. That was one of the things she said.
Queuing up in this little village to sit and meditate.
And there are dozens.
Yeah, I'm sure. Anyway, yeah, as you say, we hear a scream. What happens?
Well, Thelma screams and Gillian bursts in and the statue's gone.
There is a short montage here of her being searched, as well as the hut itself and the plinth.
Yes, deconstructed rather violently.
Yes, but all to no avail, no sign of this statue.
No, and we cut away to the video launch.
Yes, where Carla is signing copies of the said video. And from the cardboard cutouts, we can see that she is again quite happy, I think, to use her God-given assets.
Whether it's her decision or her husband's, we'll leave to the...
We'd like to think she's not been forced into it.
I know, but whether she's made the
Idea.
marketing decision that this is how we're going to sell the video.
Yeah. Jonathan is being a bit sarky, as you would expect about this new career turn and points out what?
Well, a couple of things. First of all, he marvels at her transition from working in crime to calisthenics. And then he talks about the big crowd, and Carla points out there's been a cross-promotion running.
Yeah, he also mentions one issue that he might have with the promotion itself.
Yes, so the promotion is scented wipes or tissues that are being handed out with the box, and Jonathan thinks that's hilarious because most people buy this sort of thing for erotic pleasure.
It doesn't say that, does he?
He does heavily imply that.
He heavily implies it, yeah.
At this stage, a woman approaches Carla with a request.
2 requests.
Firstly, sign my piece of paper.
It's a folded up piece of paper, isn't
You
it?
never sign the folded up piece of paper.
No. She thrusts that into Carla's hands.
Yes.
And before she can ask about it, what happens?
The woman says it's actually for her nephew, and he would like a photo with her perhaps sitting on Carla's knee, and there's a small child standing next to her. So I think Carla assumes it's the small child who wants the photo, but no, it's her fully grown, probably mid-30s, maybe late 30s nephew in his anorak.
I did enjoy that.
I'm sure he enjoyed it as well.
Now, at the same time, Jonathan takes a call and seems intrigued by a sort of disappearing trick.
Yes.
We're back at the museum.
Jonathan and Carla are there.
Yes.
Carla's transitioned back from calisthenics to crime.
Yeah, a bit like Batman.
Yes, exactly like Batman, that's what I was thinking.
Owen's there, giving Jonathan a summary of what has happened. And as he is doing this, Jonathan wanders off and eats a sandwich. Doesn't really...
He's not interested at all.
No.
He just wanders away, and Carla's left to hear the end of the story.
Well, she attempts to reassure Owen of Jonathan's credentials and insists that he will certainly find out what happened. This is not what Owen needs, though.
Miss Borrego, I know damn well who stole it. I just want the bloody thing back. This woman, Thelma Bailey, had been pestering me for months. What a boost it would be for the community. A real cultural shot in the arm. Well, against all my instincts, I agreed. And of course, walked straight into her trap. Well, can't you see? What she's pulled off here is a very clever conjuring trick. On stage, hidden from view for what, no more than a minute, she performs the impossible. Playing me for a complete sucker. Well, we'll find out how she managed it, and hopefully we'll be on the way to retrieving my property. But I won't be holding my breath. Anyway.
A couple of questions I have. Who phoned Jonathan? I can't remember.
Okay, so I don't know if it gets explained. It doesn't seem likely to have been Thelma or Gillian or Owen.
No. Baxter would have phoned Carla, he would have thought, in the first
Yeah, why would he know about it anyway?
Yeah.
Who phoned him? Maybe it was the old man that we meet later.
Could be.
And that's why everyone's wondering why they're there.
Yeah.
Well, it could be that it is via the TV show and Jonathan's just the guy that they call.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Glendower's a bit of an arse here anyway, isn't he?
Yeah, he's very ungrateful for their help and
Yeah.
giving up their time to come and see what he's up to.
Two high-profile people with a history of solving these types of...
Famously, yeah.
Yeah, and he's a bit snarky. I'll just leave and say that I'm away.
I think he's one of these folk who thinks they know better than everybody else.
But even Jonathan, who's agreed to go down there, he didn't argue about it this time as he has in the past.
Yeah.
Why is he not being interested? He's wandering off eating sandwiches.
I thought he was assessing the room while he was eating his sandwich.
Yeah, but you'd think he'd like to listen to...
But he famously doesn't... If he knows something, he's not interested in hearing it again. We've seen this a few times before.
Yeah. In any case, at the end of the clip, we see Glendower and Gillian make eye contact. And this seems to stop him in his tracks, which is noted by Carla, who then approaches her to introduce themselves.
Yeah. She explains who she is and who her mother is, but says that they might have difficulty talking to her because she's been possessed by demons.
Well, she defends her mother at first. I think Carla may have suggested that the only possible suspect is her. But yeah, Gillian says she can speak if they want, but it's doubtful she can speak to them. Why?
Yeah, her mother's face is swollen up, there's wheals all over it, and she can't talk.
In any case, we go to Thelma's house.
Yes, the police are combing the garden area.
And we see an unhappy and stressed Gillian as she sends off the cops
Yeah, once they're finished their investigation. I don't think she's cutting them short or anything.
She then invites Jonathan and Carla to go up to her mother's room, but Jonathan declines.
Yes, he has an issue with facial disfigurement.
And weeping sores.
Yes, but Carla shoves him up the stairs anyway.
Yeah, so in the bedroom, a disfigured and painful-looking Thelma whispers that the doctor said that it was like some sort of extreme nettle rash. And at this point, an uncomfortable Jonathan excuses himself under the guise of using the toilet.
Yeah, but he's just doing his usual sort of recce.
While he's doing this, Thelma goes on to confirm to Carla that her eyes were closed the entire time she was in the hut alone with the statue.
But she didn't hear anything.
Yeah. I mean, you have to start looking very closely at her.
Yes.
Where's Jonathan?
He's in a bedroom.
Office room, I think.
Maybe an office room. He finds some photographs.
Of what?
Well, one of them is an aged 7 Thelma in Gorgons Wood.
Yeah.
And in a wardrobe he finds a policeman.
He does. Who doesn't realise he's like the Vietnam vets.
I think the war's still going on.
Yeah, don't realise the rest of them have buggered off.
Yeah. He gets sent away by Jonathan.
He does. And then Jonathan finds what?
He finds a box of old records and he flicks through a couple of the titles.
Remember them?
One of them was Engelbert Humperdinck, one with Jethro Tull. I don't remember the names of the albums.
The names of the albums aren't important.
Well, they might be if you want to choose what to listen to.
Yeah. Back in the bedroom.
Yeah, we see that Thelma's got Owen's books. Like all of them, it appears.
Yeah, and they discuss his success in the field of cookery, bakery, writing that is. And for a second, it looks like one of the books stirs something in Jonathan's head.
He's kind of flicking through one of the books as he looks out the window simultaneously.
Yeah.
And then he asks a weird question.
What was that?
He asks Thelma if she's lived here all her life.
Yes, she says that indeed she has for 5 decades, from being single to married to single again.
So does that include her childhood?
Yeah.
Why would you describe your childhood as single? It's a bit of a weird description.
I thought it was quite funny where she says that Mr. Bailey is no longer with them.
Yeah.
At which point, Gillian, what does she say?
He's with a bus conductress in Woking.
Yeah. Strange term, conductress, for 2004. I mean, for a start, I don't think you get bus conductors in 2004.
No.
But a conductress, it's like something from On the Buses.
But it sounds like maybe that's just the story that her mother's been giving her since she was 5.
Yeah. Sure,
in her
yeah.
head, that's the phrase.
That would make sense, yeah. Gillian then tells them that the place is named for a beech tree in the middle of the wood with horrid little carvings on it. And Carla appears at this point to work everything out.
Yeah, Thelma, though, has also explained that she owes her own sanity to Gorgons Wood. It has been her spiritual sanctuary for 50 years. And that's another clue, isn't it?
Yeah. And that's where we head, the wood. As they walk to the tree, Carla explains to Jonathan that it is obvious that Thelma stole it, the statue that was, and has hidden it in the woods, which is also where she got the reaction from some nettles.
I think that's a far more solid theory than many of the ones that have been proposed by sidekicks in this series so far.
Yeah, well, it's accurate, isn't it?
It's a very good theory. And Jonathan's just as dubious as always. It's like no one else can have a good idea.
Yeah.
It's like if you've ever seen the Lego Batman movie.
Yes.
He's got a counter of who's had good ideas. It's like, Jonathan, 4 million, everybody else is 0.
Good movie, that. She is aware that Jonathan is unlikely to agree with her solution and invites him for his customary obscure remark.
His oddball observations.
Yes. He obliges by advising what?
Well, he talks about these records that I mentioned, Engelbert Humperdinck and Jethro Tull, and doesn't really go into the detail at this point.
No, I think he says it suggests something very obvious.
Everything's very obvious when you know the answer.
No, it's like, Jonathan, just tell me then. Yeah. Could you be bothered hanging about with him if you just...
No, I wouldn't. I would just be like if you're going to be like this, go away.
Yeah.
Yeah. We see at this point somebody is filming them.
Yeah, we've got a POV.
Yes, as usual. Focuses in on a bird, but clearly was capturing Jonathan and Carla prior to that.
We're now at the tree and I really enjoyed this. It was a lovely tracking shot.
Yeah, but it was again a POV type shot from behind them and it goes across and round, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's very nice. And yeah, we see this fantastic looking beech tree. And up close, the creepy looking carved faces that would not be out of place in a horror movie, actually.
No, and there's writing as well. There's a message.
Yes, what's the message?
It's something like go east or go to east.
Go to east at 19.
Mm.
Yep. He's 17.
So Carla starts counting out the trees, 19 to the east, but gets called back.
Yes, he touches the carvings, the tree, and claims that the physical nature of it actually may mean more than the words itself.
What I find deeply unusual is that only one person ever carved the tree. Normally, if you get a tree with carvings, you find there's lots of folk have done it. It's like, this is a tree for carving. We'll all do it.
Yeah, it's a bit like a wall which is graffiti. Very rarely have.
Just one thing.
Yeah. In any case, Carla continues with her theory and suggests that an ancient hidey hole could be there, and this go east is directions to it.
Yeah.
But Jonathan cuts her off and says that woodpeckers or some other type of bird may have been at the message, which could have changed the original meaning. And just then, what do they hear?
A man falling.
Yeah, it's a cry. Who do they find?
An old man who's fallen.
Yeah, he's on his back, suffering from sciatica.
Yeah, he addresses Jonathan by name.
Yeah.
Which is why I had the idea earlier that he maybe is the one that called him. But then he's a celebrity at this stage, so it's hard to say.
Yeah, and you also would have arranged to meet him somewhere.
Yeah, and it would need to be someone who knew him, giving the call for him to agree to do it.
Yeah, I'm trying to think, did we miss something?
I don't think so. If anyone knows, phone in, the usual number. Mm-hmm. Anyway, Carla is empathetic. She's suffered with sciatica before and goes to help the man.
Well, they help him by dragging him home.
It looks really terrible.
Yeah. And as they do this, he explains that he thought Jonathan's presence was inevitable.
Given what you'd heard about the case on the news.
Yeah, really, but still, it's a
missing
long shot.
statue, I guess, yeah.
Yeah, but with all the mysteries and going on in the world or in the country.
Did I get this right? Was Gillian watching this from behind a tree?
Yes, as they drag and chat, we see Gillian pop up from a bush, watching them with a look of worry on her face. She's up to something.
She's on her way somewhere anyway, yes.
We're now at the old man's house. I don't ever think we're given his name.
No, I just have it down as Old Man House.
Yeah, so far.
So Carla's giving advice on back pain?
Yes, he's face down on the table with an apple in his mouth.
Yeah, and she tries some kind of a manipulation as Jonathan winces, isn't he, in the background, or at least metaphorically winces, because he helps the man out of the room very quickly thereafter.
Yeah, I think he screams or bites down in pain, and Jonathan remarks that at least it wasn't a prostate problem.
Yes. I noted that I watched this one on the DVD, but I imagine that if they're deleting scenes for Netflix, this would be top of their list.
Yeah, quite possibly.
And also this next one where Thelma watches the wind rattling the window.
Yeah, I think so. That's all that happens, really, isn't it?
Nothing much else. She looks out at the woods.
Yeah.
And we go back to the old man home, where he notes it's fortuitous that he met Jonathan today.
Yes. I think firstly he boasts about his massive brain.
Yeah. In his family there's a talent for remembering facts and faces.
Yes. And he also states that he may be able to help Jonathan with the mystery.
Yeah, the darker recesses of the mystery, he says.
And asks him if he realises that the tree is involved.
There's certainly another angle to all this I'm only just starting to see. It began with those old albums in her bedroom. A singer and a rock band both took the name of slightly obscure figures from history. Engelbert Humperdinck, composer, and Jethro Tull, who invented the seed drill. Suddenly I'm remembering another Owen Glendower, Welsh warlord in the 1300s who led a revolt against Henry IV. I'm thinking this is probably not the name our celebrity chef was born with. And you put that signature of his against the letters in the tree. Okay, it's hardly conclusive, but there's something very distinctive about those G's.
It all suggests to you.
The two people who carved their initials there a long time ago may just have shared the same surname. Thelma Ogden, as she was then, had a brother.
All a bit tenuous.
Absolutely.
Had to make a number of leaps and suppositions to get to where he is.
Yeah, at least it was the old man making some of the leaps and not just Jonathan all the time.
Yeah. Anyway, at this point, through flashback, we see the old man as a young man cycling through the woods and finding a young boy called Gordon carving the faces alongside a young girl.
Presumably his sister.
Yes. And we see the full message was in fact their initials.
GOTO Easter 1958.
Yeah.
Then you get a gruesome story of their parents splitting up and taking one child each.
Yes. I think their minds are then poisoned by their respective guardians and they disown each other.
It's quite harsh.
Very harsh. So at this, Carla acknowledges that they are looking at a motive of sibling or rivalry. But the man doesn't confirm this. Instead, says that for those that remember, the wood will always be named what?
Well, yeah, he says names can be changed to suit a purpose, but people old enough remember this as Gorgons Wood. Now, this line doesn't even make sense when we've seen the whole episode.
Yeah.
It doesn't add anything, take anything away, it's just...
No. And so some wee boy, some little vandal, has scribbled a few faces in a tree. So everyone in the area calls it Gorgons Wood. It's not how it works.
No, it's very odd.
Yeah. Anyway, as they leave, the man thanks Carla for her help with his back and gives her a gift that we heard at the top of the podcast.
We did, it's a brain in a jar.
Would you accept that?
Yes.
What would you do with it?
I would gift it again, re-gift it.
Would you?
Yes.
You wouldn't keep it on a coffee table?
No, because the cats would knock it over, so I gift it to somebody who doesn't have cats. Maybe you.
Oh, maybe you could try and sell it. It's probably worth something.
We could keep it in the office.
Could do. Prod it and poke it.
Build a shelf
And
on
then
the wall.
get the jump leads and try and create some
Yes.
sort of monster.
Yes, we could create a Rocky Horror.
Yeah. We're back to the woods.
Thelma's looking for Gillian and finds this video camera that we saw the man with earlier on.
Yeah. It was very anti-M, I thought.
Okay.
It was very windswept and she's shouting Dorothy. Yeah, anyway, that's what that reminded me of.
Okay. She watches back the tape on this video and looks quite concerned.
Yeah, disturbed. Wonder what it can be.
Who can say? Let's go to the lawyer's office.
Where Jonathan watches on as the defence brief tries unsuccessfully to prove that the old chancers are at it through a number of very dubious methods.
Yeah, they play a lot of loud noises and slap her. And you imagine, having been a lawyer, I can say they definitely exchanged letters over a number of days prior to this saying, we will arrange for one 30-minute session whereby you may try the following methods.
Lawyer's office to Animal Farm.
Yes, Adam's in the pigsty and Jonathan's there to bring him up to speed on what's going on.
Yes, he concedes to a shit and muck covered Adam that the old dear is very good before asking how things are going with him.
Yes, and in the background we see Carla interviewing one of the other contestants. So she's obviously the host of this show.
Adam's not amused at the lack of celebrity and the fact that he has been drinking pig's milk.
From the pig.
Ugh, direct from the pig. And then we see him have lunch.
From the trough. And they all look excited about it. It's really quite
Not
disturbing.
just from the trough alongside the pigs.
Yes.
It's repulsive.
It's horrible.
Yeah.
Pigs are apparently very clean animals though.
Look, that's what they say, but I think that's nonsense.
Yeah, I'm sure. They're all covered in mud. How can they be clean?
They're all manky. All animals are dirty.
Yeah.
All
They
of
never
them.
take a shower.
No.
As they leave, Jonathan and Carla are talking.
Yeah, I think they're in the car park where she invites him to hers for dinner.
Yeah, I think that's where she's got the jar of Owen's sauce.
Yes, I think Baxter. Now, Baxter's away. Where is he? He's up in Edinburgh.
He's away somewhere anyway. And Jonathan is asking about the next TV idea. Is it going to be celebrity suicides?
Carla then feels a little bit nauseous, I think. A little bit uneasy. Why?
She gets a glimpse of something that perturbs her greatly.
What was that?
A white transit van with her video on the dashboard.
Next to a copy of The Sun.
Yeah, was
Yeah.
it Sport or
Or
something
one
like
of
that?
them, yeah. However, Jonathan hasn't been watching this. He has been dismissing the contents on the label of this jar of pasta and wonders what it must do to your insides. That's a bit harsh. It's only a jar of pasta sauce.
It just looked like a relabeled Lloyd Grossman jar.
Well, that's what it would have been, yeah. Or Dolmio or something, yeah.
But while doing this, he has another epiphany.
He does.
And he tells Carla he'll share this secret if she'll drive him back to Thelma's.
Is that what it says?
Yeah,
Okay.
probably. No one's going to check. It's fine.
I think he specifically states that he knows now how the statue vanished and has known actually for 4 days.
Yeah.
The secret was in Thelma's bedroom.
Yes, and he'll share it with Carla if she drives him back there.
Yeah, that's what you said.
I did.
Okay. And that's where we are, Thelma's house, where Jonathan confronts her with the fact that Owen is her brother and asks if she would like to come clean about how she made the statue vanish.
Yeah, she rejects this idea and says that she didn't have time to do anything, and has he got any sensible ideas?
Yeah, but Jonathan tells her what she did. And what was that?
She ate it.
Which would have caused the breakout, apparently.
Apparently.
And he then furnishes us with further details.
Yeah, I think we all know £3 of porcelain's hardly going to slip down. But that's not what we're talking about here, is it? Exactly where the switch came, I've been trying to figure. But we know that when that guy checked it on arrival, it was a genuine article. Which means you couldn't have done it without your daughter's help. But what's gloriously ironic here, of course, is the whole idea came from him. Page in one of those books I evidently logged the other day without realising. How to make an edible toy that involved, I don't know, some kind of magic mixture that's poured into a mould to produce a couple of crisp candy shells. A bit like the outside of an M&M. Now put them together, you've got a nice little novelty item for parties. But of course, if you're careful how you hold it, you only need the front half of that shell to make everyone think they're seeing the real thing. Get yourself an accurate impression of the original and you're in business.
So at this, Thelma concedes and admits the execution of the plan was Gillian's idea, and she was vital in gaining access to the safe in Owen's house.
Yeah, she visited him and got him to show her the statue.
Yeah, we've got a flashback here, I think.
She opens a briefcase while he's pouring a whiskey, and there's a slab of clay, as you have in any good briefcase, and she takes an impression of the statue.
She does indeed. And Thelma admits to not feeling a lot of guilt towards a man that she despises.
Yeah, I think she says something along the lines of feeling some family maintenance is not undue.
Mm-hmm. And I think we also find out that the wooden transportation box had two sides to it, so that's how the switch was carried out.
Fairly standard magic trick, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, the top opened and put the statue in, she flipped it over, and when she opened that side it was the cake version that came out with the other version hidden within.
Mm-hmm. However, she has news for Jonathan and Carla. She goes on to say the original was hidden in the wood, but when Gillian went to collect it, she disappeared. Didn't return after 4 days.
Hasn't been seen.
No.
I think when we skipped briefly over there, Jonathan also mentioned the fact that the swelling and the rash was probably just a random allergy to an E number.
And Thelma has even more to reveal when she offers the complete picture and produces the camcorder, which shows what?
Well, it appears to show Gillian on her back, I would say.
In
making
ecstasy?
Pleasurable noises, but she doesn't have a pleasurable look on her face.
Well, that's all dependent on what things are happening. But anyway, for some reason, Thelma assumes that the person delivering this pleasure is her brother.
It's a bit of a leap.
Yeah.
She also mentions that she talked to the man who dropped the camera, but how come she's still got it then?
Who knows?
She said, I found your camera and I'm not giving it back, you old man.
Yeah, this is my daughter being pleasured in it. You're not having it.
You don't even have a name.
No. With your massive brain. Go away.
If you'd kept your brain, I'd have given you the camera. But not now. She has confronted her brother about this as well. We see a flashback to that moment where he doesn't confess anything, but that convinced her that he was definitely guilty.
Yeah, she doesn't believe his lies. And she then shows them a piece of paper with an address on it that she found in Gillian's organiser. Describe that.
Yeah, well, she's been looking for evidence because she's not sure now if Gillian has double-crossed them both or just her. But within this organiser, there's a piece of paper with an address and the letter D.
Bit obscure.
It's the only thing that she found unusual in the entire organiser.
Yeah, why would you?
Has a week passed that we didn't know about? She's done an awful lot of things.
Yeah. At this point, anyway, Thelma asks her, or neither begs Jonathan for help.
Humbles herself.
Mm-hmm. We're back at the tree, and as Jonathan looks at the hiding place, Carla talks in astonishment about the supposed scheming that Gillian had been up to.
Yeah, I think she's just taken Thelma's analysis for granted here.
Yeah, Jonathan doesn't buy this narrative, and when Carla asks who was filming them, he replies, what?
Nobody.
Ah.
Cameraman maybe on pause, fell out the bush, started recording, and then ran out of tape.
He then notices 4 holes beside the carved message that weren't there before.
Yeah, he doesn't have an explanation for that, though.
No. Interesting place we go next.
Yeah, London.
Yeah.
The address on the bit of paper appears to be some kind of adult entertainment store.
Sex shop, yes.
Carla refuses to enter.
I don't know why.
Well, the paparazzi would get her coming in or out of that shop, wouldn't they?
No, that's true, I suppose.
She's lurking outside it, which is almost as bad.
It's worse.
Yeah. Anyway, Jonathan goes in and is amused by a couple of the things that he sees.
Yeah. Yes, what's that?
First of all, he sees Carla's video on the shelf between a couple of more adult titles.
Yeah.
And then after obtaining information about the address, he sees a blow-up doll for a man's use with Carla's name on it.
And a representation of her face.
It didn't look anything like her, but
It
yeah.
did a little bit.
It was a woman's face.
Yeah. Brown hair. Wasn't a typical
Had
blonde.
2 eyes and a nose.
A mouth,
Yeah.
more importantly.
And he then leaves and tells Carla that the address is for a flat that's round the back.
Yeah. Carla knows that he saw something inside that tickled him, but nothing's said about it at this point.
Nothing at all.
We go round the back.
Yeah, the doorbell for this address has the word Dawn written above
This
it.
is nonsense. Unless Dawn's her surname.
Or her working name.
Yeah, but you wouldn't even put your working name on it. You know, try to be discreet. If you give someone the address, you don't need to put your name. This is who puts their first name on their doorbell.
Someone who doesn't have a surname. I bet you Madonna.
Fair enough.
Pelly.
Okay, I'll give you that. Anyway, they get up to Dawn's flat. They enter this dingy-looking place, and they're met by what is obviously a prostitute in a wig.
Yeah, she was expecting somebody else, I think, whether a client or another person. Tells them they're 10 minutes early.
Yes, they ask for Gillian, but before they get any answers, a scar-faced pimp orders them out whilst brandishing a flick knife. This scene and the later scenes with Dawn, and I don't know, it just feels like, again, like David Rennick writing about things he might not know a lot about, which is good. He shouldn't really know a lot about pimps and sex workers, but
Kind of caricature.
it's very, you make a flick knife. It's not guys and dolls. You know?
A West Side Story.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm thinking of, isn't it? West Side Story, the sharks and the...
Yeah, and the
Yeah.
jets, yeah.
But yeah, so anyway. At this point, the woman screams at him, but she is pushed onto the bed, and as they leave, they glance at her partially disfigured face.
No doubt that would upset Jonathan.
Yeah, doesn't like that.
Nope, it's very upsetting to him. I liked it when they went outside and they both tried to act like, yep, that's probably not a good clue, let's just move along to the...
I think they were fairly relieved to get out in one piece. And because of this, Carla tries to change the subject and ask about what Jonathan saw in the shop.
Yeah, he doesn't say though.
No, so she then just reminds him of the meal that was promised.
Yes,
And that's where we head then.
we do. Jonathan's sitting there staring at this massive brain and Carla asks him for his latest theory on the case.
Yeah, he says that there is something odd about the problem with Dawn's face.
Yeah, he asks Carla what she thought had happened to Dawn, and she suggests a serious burn, but Jonathan's not 100% sure.
No, he's not convinced by that. She then forces some ice-cold sorbet into him, inducing some brain freeze. That's a horrible thing, isn't it?
Yeah, over his protestations as well.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, this causes him to make spontaneous sex noises as her husband phones.
Yeah, so she has to hang up in case Baxter gets the wrong idea, which makes something click in Jonathan's mind.
Yeah, he realises that sort of confusion might be important.
So whilst this is formulating, Carla asks about what he saw in the sex shop again that amused him so much. But as she's doing this, she herself has a eureka moment and stands... Do you like this camera
Yes.
transition here? She stands open-mouthed for a moment, just like the
doll. Yeah. She realises at this stage that Dawn might have been Gillian in disguise, I think.
Yes. While she's standing there with her mouth open, I think this gives him a flashback. to what he saw.
Yeah, he's thinking about something else altogether. She doesn't say that about Don and Gillian, I should say. That's the idea. I think
Yes.
that's just how it leads on.
So she asks if he is thinking what she is thinking, but he tells her quite sinisterly, unfortunately, probably something much worse.
Absolutely. Back in London.
Back at Don's flat, after confirming that the pimp is at the pub. Now, how would they know this? So they're watching him. We see them in the car watching him have a drink.
Yeah. How many pubs did they watch?
Yeah, or did they go to the brothel
Follow him.
and follow him? But how would you know that that's not very efficient, is it?
No, and how do they know how long he's going to be at the pub for?
Yeah. Anyway, they see him at the pub, so they creep up the stairs of this brothel.
They don't even go up the stairs. At the bottom of the stairs, and they're talking when she opens the door
Yes.
and says, "I thought you'd be back," which is a bit weird. Why would she think they'd be back? Because that's about Gillian, I suppose, and she knows what's happened to Gillian.
Yeah. Well, I think, does Carla not outline her theory again to Jonathan that Gillian has been lying low in this place? But Jonathan thinks that there is something more disturbing afoot.
He thinks there's something terrible at the top of the stairs waiting for them.
Yeah, and as you mentioned there, the door opens up and Dawn tells him, well, she was expecting them to come on up.
Yeah.
So inside the flat, after noting that they are looking for Gillian Bailey, Dawn sits down with her back to them and produces the statue from a bag and gives it to them.
She does. That's a shocking twist.
Yeah. And again, you're thinking because of her with her back to you and the wig on.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's Gillian, isn't it?
Yeah, I was never convinced it was Gillian, but I got that's where they were leading to.
Yeah. Before they leave, Carla wants to clear something up. Now, I think Dawn understands what Carla thinks.
Yeah.
So she takes her hand and proves that this scarring
It's real.
is real. It's not makeup as part of a disguise.
Yeah.
At this, Jonathan admits it is easy for others to jump to conclusions.
Somewhat ironic that, though, because it obviously was makeup.
Yeah. And to make up a story about what has been on.
He's talking about himself and Carla.
Yeah. And he outlines the perceived current flawed theory. However, Dawn fills them in on the truth about her and Gillian's relationship.
It was just up by the West Side Centre. About a month ago, said she was waiting for a taxi. After a few minutes, this car pulls up, but it's like a clear case of mistaken identity. And suddenly she's thinking, 19 to the dozen, if some punter on the street could get the two of us mixed up like that. So a couple of nights later she comes back, says would I be up for it. It's like there's this guy she's trying to sweeten up to do her a favour, only what he wants. No way she's going to give it him, but maybe I can help. I mean, I'm like, the whole idea of it was weird, right? But it was a job, you know, and what kind of business am I going to turn down? Said she'd already got it sussed and she was going to sell it to him.
Uncle,
Because it was just like putty in her hands.
look, I know what you want and it can be arranged. Not here. How would it be if I had a friend who could do things for you that Gillian can't?
The one thing that stood out for me in that clip is she says that if a random stranger could mistake Dawn for Gillian, then surely her uncle could. That's the exact opposite.
He'd be far less likely to mistake her.
Yeah, of course a random stranger could, mistake two vaguely similar people that are not really paying that much attention. But your uncle, it doesn't mean to say your uncle will.
Yeah. Although I suppose the idea here is, it's not stated explicitly, but maybe she hasn't seen her uncle for quite some time.
What are you talking about?
Like,
You've seen through flashbacks. She was
at the start of the episode, that might have been the first time he'd seen her for years.
Uh-huh.
So he's seen her once. Doesn't mean he's definitely going to be able to identify her off.
Yeah, no, that's very generous.
Yeah, plus she's gone back a second time to set this up. So yeah.
No.
We're not having it.
No, and she went to his house to get the statue.
Yeah, so 3 times.
Yeah.
No, the statue thing was after that.
Oh, who knows? But listen, no, this is Yeah, so explain what happened there, just in case anyone didn't pick it up from the clip.
Yeah, so yeah, kind of flash between a flashback and a retelling and everything. But Dawn did sleep with Owen 3 times or 2.5 times because he couldn't do it the third time.
Well, listen.
But the pimp fellow got wind of what was going on and wanted more out of this financially, and read a bit in the paper, I think, about Owen having this statue, which he decided he was going to steal. And Dawn explains that he wouldn't have had a chance except for a stroke of luck.
Yeah, it was very lucky. I mean, I didn't buy this at all. So this pimp has just happened to see her with this statue, realise how much it was worth. Oh, I suppose it might have been on the TV.
But he read it in the newspaper how much it was worth. We saw him do that. So he's going to steal this. That's why he's going there. But obviously Dawn says he wouldn't have had a chance against real security. But because it's already been stolen, he happens to see through the window.
That's nonsense, isn't it?
Yes. Anyway, so he knows Gillian's got it at this point. So at this stage, Carla makes the assumption that the man with Gillian on the video was probably this guy.
The pimp here.
Yeah, which is disgusting to Carla. But Jonathan says that perhaps they were not seeing what they thought they were seeing.
No, I think he points out that the camera was on its side.
Or could have been on its side.
Yeah. And we see a flashback.
Yes, this pimp fellow ambushes Gillian when she goes to retrieve the statue and murders her.
With a spading fork.
Yeah, some kind of pitchfork type thing, yeah.
Yeah. So what we were actually seeing was not her in ecstasy.
Agony.
Was her in
pinned
agony,
against the tree.
Being murdered.
That also explains the 4 holes in the tree. Imagine he's put it right through her and into the tree. That's a fairly gruesome blow. Also, it's a big open wood. Why have you gone and backed up against a tree when a guy's running at you with a fork?
Just then, they are startled by the return of the pimp.
Yeah, I was thinking if the flashback didn't have background music, they might have heard him come.
Yeah. He appears in the room and says that they're all dead. And it doesn't look good until what?
Well, Dawn stubs out her cigarette in his hand, and when he recoils in the pain, she knocks him down the stairs, and he's at least knocked out and possibly dead.
He might be, yeah. Could be a broken neck quite easily.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. However, as they make a run for it, Carla stumbles over his groin, I think.
Probably on purpose.
Yep. And the statue that she was holding flies through the air and smashes to the ground.
You can almost sense the evil spirit vacating this porcelain at this stage.
Yeah. But like, chuck it, it'll go somewhere else.
Yeah. Also, it made it look like the statue was hollow, which was not how it was made out to be in the story. No. We get a weird sort of cut to a news report on the television. Gillian's body's been found in a log.
Mm-hmm. And the removal of it is witnessed by both Thelma and Owen. Why would they be there?
They're maybe helping in the search or something. No. She's missing, we'll hunt her down, I don't know.
Yeah, but at that point, as soon as you find the body, you say,
back off, yeah.
Yeah, go away. This isn't, you know.
Yeah, Thelma's clearly distraught. Owen looks a bit stunned.
Yeah, and horny.
Yeah, I think he's got a bit of the Jimmy Saviles about him.
Without a doubt. The final scene this week, a lighter note, we're back in the lawyer's office.
Yes.
Where Jonathan watches the old con woman wheeled by as he waits for Adam to turn up, and is surprised to find Carla is there.
This is very poor etiquette with the lawyer to discuss Carla's case in front of all these other random people.
Yeah, why is she there?
She wants to sue the people who make that blow-up doll.
Yes. It appears that she has signed a document consenting to this usage of her image, which she believes is a fake, until Jonathan reminds her of the paper that she signed at the video signing.
That wouldn't hold up. That's not a legal document. She had no idea she was signing a contract. The lawyer obviously hasn't done his research because he thinks it's fine.
Yeah, it's definitely not legal.
No, it would not be.
At this, a smell wafts in.
And it's getting closer, according to Jonathan.
We see Adam, whose mood is as pleasant as the repugnant coverings on his body.
And the odour.
Yes. So he's covered in all his dung and muck.
Straight from the pigsty he's arrived. His driver, he says, had to pull over on the way there to vomit off a bridge.
Yes, and they all recoil. However, it does have a pretty major advantage in his case against the conning Mrs. Thrimson.
Yes, he goes through to apologise to her, I think, or to speak to her anyway. And the smell is so bad it breaks the trance, and she runs off looking for some fresh air.
Do you think he did that deliberately?
I hope so, but I don't know.
She deserved it.
She did.
And that's where we end. It was an odd episode. It had its moments.
Yeah, I mean, a couple of episodes ago we had one, The Seer in the Sands, where we said there was so much of it that we would question. I don't think it was quite that bad.
No.
It's still, there's things that don't logically track, but it's entertaining enough if you're just sitting watching it.
Yeah, it was entertaining. I don't know if I would leap to the DVD to stick it on. If I was wanting a bit of classic Creek.
Not much of a goodbye for Carla, similar to Maddie. I think we talked about this 6-7 episodes ago whenever Maddie left, that she didn't really get a proper farewell, and it makes you wonder whether they knew this was going to be the last one.
Yeah, well, I think when we can discuss that this week and next, we've got a 5-year gap between this and the next episode. So I presume that they, at the time of filming this, didn't know that Julia Sawalha would not be returning. They weren't sure. She didn't know. They didn't know if they were going to come back themselves, perhaps.
Maybe this could have been the last show, yeah.
Yeah. So I think that was why, because she certainly deserved a proper send-off. She was a very competent, a very decent replacement. I think
They should have done a thing like at the end of The Return of the Jedi, where all the ghosts of the people that have helped Luke come back. They have all these ghost sidekicks where Jonathan is kind of standing there and waving.
Okay, is that a thing? I don't... Okay. Yeah, no, but your thoughts on Carla as a character? I thought it was a good replacement for...
Yes, I thought she was good. She had a good sort of... Well, she had a good arc to a point, and then it kind of went sideways a little bit with the fitness videos and the game shows and stuff. But no, it was okay. I felt like they probably would have hoped to have had more time with the character.
Mm-hmm.
But then I think David Rennick was saying something about finding it hard to write the episodes at this time.
Yeah.
There's a quote somewhere out there saying that he couldn't even write 6. He had to do 3 and then take a break and do another 3.
And of course we didn't get a send-off for Brendan Baxter either.
He just didn't show up in this episode. He was phoned it in.
I mean, what would have been nice? You could easily have written that they had a big break, an opportunity in the States, and they left to try out in pastures new and hit the big time.
Absolutely. Or Japan, or somebody was interested in all those Japanese shows.
Yeah.
They've done that.
And it would have made it easy enough to bring them back if they wanted to.
Yeah, and they wouldn't have had to.
No. Anyway, 28th of February 2004 was the original air date. And we have to start with Julia Sawalha, who played Carla Borrego. As I mentioned there, I think a worthy successor to Maddie. She was born in 1968. I first met her in The Press Gang. She was also in Absolutely Fabulous, Lark Rise to Cranford, Time Gentlemen Please, Second Thoughts, Faith in the Future, Pride and Prejudice, Casualty, and Educating Marmalade.
I think obviously Ab Fab's what she's most well known for.
Worldwide, yeah, I'd imagine so. But for me, it'll always be The Press Gang. She is, of course, the sister of Nadia and daughter of Nadim, who I think you mentioned is quite big in the comedy world.
No, it's her uncle's quite big in the comedy world out in the Middle East. You know, her dad's famous for being her dad.
Ah, fair enough. Worse things to be famous for.
Absolutely.
A la Jimmy Savile.
Why? What?
We've already mentioned Jimmy Savile.
You can't juxtapose Jimmy Savile into someone's dad's description. That's really unfortunate.
She's only 10 years younger than her on-screen mother of Jennifer Saunders in Ab Fab.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
And her on-screen mother's married to her on-screen husband.
Yes. Ah, yeah. There you go. And she was in a relationship with Alan Davis, I think it blossomed during the filming of this, but they were wrongly reported to have married, and I think it went legal.
Yes, and they didn't get married and indeed broke up.
Owen Glendower, played by Michael Cochrane, born in 1947. You may have seen him in The Iron Lady, Doctors, Downton Abbey, The Bill, Perfect World, The Chief, No Job for a Lady, Wings, or Doctor Who in 82 and 89. He is a brother of actor Martin Cochrane and brother-in-law of Kate O'Mara. I think he's done quite a lot of stage work as well.
Got one of those faces that just looks like you've seen him in something.
A character actor, a good jobbing character actor. You'd have recognised Thelma Bailey.
Yes.
Played by Celia Imrie. She was born in 1952. She has starred in The Best Exotic at Marigold Hotel, Nanny McPhee, Better Things, Doctor Who, Kingdom, After You're Gone, Bridget Jones' Diary, Dinner Ladies, The Phantom Menace, and lots of work with Victoria Wood. And I think she was also in Highlander.
I just don't understand how she didn't get into Harry Potter.
Yes.
When all of her peers were in it.
Definitely, yeah. I can't believe she was, I think she was a fighter pilot in Star Wars. I mean, of all the people, she seems really obscure. I mentioned her before. She was married to a Jonathan Creek alumni, Benjamin Whitrow, who played Rupert in Crooked Lane. Remember the old perfect guy who had all the magazines, all the porn mags?
Yes.
She is an Olivia winner. And I thought this was interesting. Her father was a Scot from Glasgow.
That is interesting.
Yeah. Now, bearing in mind that she was born in 1952, he was born in 1892.
Oh, so he would have been 60 when she was born.
It doesn't seem, when you say it like that, but when you say, her father was born in 1892, I mean, he was nearly an adult when the Titanic went down.
Yeah, in the First World War.
He was too old for the Second World War.
Probably, yeah.
On a sadder note, at 14, she was given electric shock treatment for anorexia, and she still suffers nightmares about the dodgy doctor who administered that to this day, apparently.
Yeah, no, it's around about that time in the 60s, even before, it was some of the therapies that they had for mental health issues.
I think it was the equivalent of leeches. No, I'm not sure you've got this. Any sort of mental health condition as well. Suppose we can't treat it with surgery, get a bit of electricity through
at
it.
least she wasn't lobotomised. If you read some of the surgeries around that, it's horrific.
Yeah, I mean, one of the Kennedys famously, I think, was...
Yeah, one of the Kennedy's sister. Yeah.
Alice Patton played Gillian, the daughter, and also Dawn.
Sneaky,
yeah. Born in 1980, you might have seen her in the Forsyth saga, Merlin, Mistresses, Where the Heart Is, and she is the daughter of former Governor of Hong Kong, Chris Patton.
He's the one that lost Hong Kong.
Yep, gave it away.
Yep.
And finally, Mrs. Trimpson, the old con woman, was played by Brenda Cowling. She died in 2010, aged 85, and has appeared in Octopussy, You Rang My Lord, Potter, Pink Floyd The Wall, French and Saunders, The Bill, Casualty, The Famous Five, Fawlty Towers, Z-Cars, The Television Club, and the Forsyth saga, but not the one that Alice Patton was in. I think there was an original in the 60s or 70s.
Okay.
Any trivia? Oh.
Well, the only one thing I found interesting was obviously you got this pigsty thing that seems so absurd, but just 6 months after this show was released, Channel 5 in the UK did actually do a celebrity show called The Farm.
It did.
Which involved celebrities manually extracting semen from a pig, amongst other tasks.
We say celebrities, I think it was Rebecca Lewis.
Third-rate celebrities.
Yeah.
She was famous for claiming an affair with a professional footballer.
Yeah.
And I think she was joined in The Farm by people like Vanilla Ice and Debbie McGee.
Okay.
Others who I don't remember.
Fair enough.
I was reading about this and it said it was the most controversial reality show since the naked one that Keith Chegwin did 2 years ago.
Yeah. Bad times. Okay. Episode review, and then we have a season review.
Okay.
Motive this week.
Some sort of deep-seated sibling rivalry / revenge.
/ greed.
/ profit, yeah.
Yeah. Clues. Quite a lot. I'll run through. The family pictures that he found, the music LPs, the cookery book, the pasta ingredients, the message itself on the tree, the note in the address book, the holes in the tree, the camcorder being on its side, the brain freeze. Not sure. Anything else?
No.
Fine. Gotcha.
Well, they didn't really got genuine.
No, I suppose it's Dawn and Thelma's story.
Yeah.
Because they weren't actual guilty parties as such. Dawn producing the statue backs it all up. And then the pimp attack also. Yeah.
Gotcha doesn't really work for this series when Jonathan just puts out a theory and folks just accept it.
Yeah. But I suppose it's a gotcha for, he's a guilty party, it's the pimp. So the pimp attacking them.
Yeah, I guess. And also, Dawn ratting him out, I suppose, to an extent as well.
Yeah.
And then finding the body.
Yes.
And the 4 holes in the tree.
Okay. We'll come back to guilty or not guilty when we do the season review.
Okay.
We start with the coonskin cap. Can you remember, guilty or not guilty?
The girl in the flat was guilty.
No, we're looking at the cop, the inspector.
Oh, the inspector, he is guilty as well.
Yeah. Why?
They found the thing in his boot.
Yeah, they found the blow up
in his
choking device.
Yes, that's unfortunate for him.
Angel hair.
Okay, so that was
the fake kidnapping.
Sophie Thompson's character was guilty of kidnapping.
Yeah, but there's no proof. Everyone, the victims disappeared.
Yeah.
So I think I don't think any proof. I'm going not guilty on this one.
Yeah, without a confession. If we say there's no confession, there's no conviction for anything here.
Okay. The tailor's dummy. Straightforward one, this.
Yeah, she's guilty. It's on tape. They've got the tape.
Yep, and any sort of psychological evaluation, I think, would determine
but
that.
Did Claude know?
Well, that's the thing. I think Claude was definitely involved. Seer of the Sands. I think it's a...
There's not I suppose there's a crime in terms of keeping the body, I guess, but it's not really a crime.
There's no, I don't think it's not applicable.
Yeah.
And last time we had the checkered box.
Okay, so yes, this guy would get convicted. They caught him with a gun shooting at people.
Yes. It's up there with the recordings.
Yeah, no, it's pretty clear cut.
Yeah. And he also had a connection to the victims.
Okay.
And this week.
Guilty, the 4 holes, they're probably DNA if they find the fork. They must find the fork somewhere. I think he's going to go down.
Yes, if alive.
And there's also video footage of the murder.
Yeah, if you could prove that was footage of that.
Yeah.
I suppose she's in pain in the locale where the body was found, so...
Yeah.
Okay. Next time, after a 5-year break, fortunately not for the podcast,
Hey, just 6 months for us.
we have The Grinning Man.
So this is the episode that I recall most from my youth.
Is it?
But on reflection, I was 18 when it came out, so maybe that's why I remember it better.
Okay, well, we'll look forward to the new sidekick, see if it holds up.
Yes, I think it'll be a good one.
Okay. Until then,
Cheerio.
bye-bye.